We are live with the community. This is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Development Biweekly Call. It is August 1st. Hot dog! That's right. How did this happen? We're already into August. We're on the second half of the year. And before you know it, snow's going to be falling. But first, we've got some exciting things to talk about today on this call. What is it, you might ask? Well, we're going to get the latest updates on the community. We're going to talk about PnP.NET libraries, PowerShell, Microsoft Teams Toolkit. We're going to get the latest on script samples, team samples, Power Platform samples, all the samples. And in fact, we're also going to have picture time with Together mode. So get those fantastic faces ready for the screen. And then we'll get into three amazing presenters of the day. Did I mention samples? Well, guess what? Our first demo is on discovering M365 and Power Platform community samples with the Finder bot. Beep, boop, bop. Exciting. I can't wait to see that. Leon's going to be here talking about SharePoint Premium, Autofill columns with GPT-4 Turbo powered. And then Nick is going to be here talking about powering up your Power Pages with Power Automate. That is quadruple the power. Everybody just saying it's like simple math. I think it's science. All right, what else do we got? We have got a ton of resources available. So let's start with our community learning videos. This is our YouTube channel that is available for each and every one of you. It is our long-standing, wonderful community channel. It is newly called the Microsoft Community Learning Channel, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And that is available to host all these calls. So if you're not able to watch it live, you're able to watch it on demand. All the demos get broken out, and lots of other amazing resources and videos get displayed there. We also have our LinkedIn group for discussions, so you can interact and collaborate with other members of the community. We've got our open source initiatives, so things like PnP.js or CLI for Microsoft 365, wonderful resources available for each and every one of you. And again, all those samples, there's so many amazing samples. I think there's a billion of them. Okay, well, maybe not a billion, but there is plenty of samples. Team samples, SPFX samples, Power Platform, list formatting, the list, see what I did there? Goes on and on and on. So it is all absolutely free. You can access it with one little URL, and that is aka.ms/community/home. All you got to remember, that'll give you access to all these amazing things. Now, I had mentioned that YouTube channel. Yes, it is the same YouTube channel that you probably know and love called Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community, rebranded and called the Microsoft Community Learning Channel. Why did we do this? Well, because Microsoft changes names, but also because it is more inclusive. So it is opening up to things like Copilot and Dynamics and all these other wonderful technologies. We're not painting ourselves into a corner with just Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. The Microsoft community is big, and we want to welcome each and every one of our technologies into the YouTube channel. Now, you might be thinking, I really like this call. Well, guess what? We got more. The Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community calls are plentiful. So let's first talk about that weekly call, which isn't happening right now because it's on a summer break, but it is the weekly Microsoft 365 and Power Platform call, which is just Microsoft speakers. So that means you're going to get it directly from the horse's mouth. That's right, the horse's mouth there up in Seattle and Redmond and all over the Microsoft world, that are going to be showing you from those product managers and those program managers, and they're going to bring you the wonderful things that we want to stay on the cutting edge for. Of course, it is on a summer break. It'll be back on the 3rd of September. That is just the Tuesday call, everybody, just the Tuesday call. But all our other calls are alive and well all year long. The Power Platform monthly call, which is coming up in a few weeks. We've got our Office add-ins. And of course, our sibling bi-weekly calls, the one you are on now, Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community. And next week will be the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework. You can get access to all these calls at aka.ms/community/calls. Now, you may be thinking, everybody's showing off some really cool stuff. I got cool stuff to show. Now, it may not be a flux capacitor. I'm thinking, if it's not showing how to make time travel possible, should I show it? Yes, you should. If you've got resources or samples or utility scripts or some cool thing that you've identified that is a benefit for you, I guarantee someone else will find value in it. So please, we welcome everyone to present on these calls. No problem if you think it's big or small. It is all okay. It is going to be useful. All you got to do is fill out a form, aka.ms/community/demo, and we will get back to you. And if you've never presented before, that is okay too. This is a wonderful place to start that initiative or that project for yourself, kicking off that maybe new part of your career. And we'll even bundle you up with somebody. If you need to work with someone else in building that and presenting it, we got your back. So we're all in this together, and we're here to support you. Speaking of support, we also have our Sharing is Caring initiative. And coming up in just a few weeks, August 19th, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, is our next sample contributor session. What is Sharing is Caring, you may ask? Well, it is a live and hands-on session that provides guidance on how to accomplish a variety of things in the community. This session is how you can contribute to these samples using GitHub. So that hub of Gits, that GitHub hubs that is so confusing, using things like terms like fork and raw and pull request. What does all that mean? Sounds like a fight that's gotten out of hand. Well, it's not. It's contributions, and we're going to walk you through. It is live. It is safe space, meaning we do not record it, so you are free to ask any and all questions that you want. Don't feel like you have to ask a question that's going to get recorded and everybody should already know. Nope. We are all learning, and we want to make sure that it is a safe space for you to learn as well. It is hands-on, but if you don't want to do it, you can just also follow along with the class and watch and learn and do it on your own time. But we are here to collaborate together. Again, August 19th, 9:30 a.m. PST. And then once you do contribute, we want to recognize you. So we've got a whole bunch of new badge initiatives we're working on, and you'd love to know more about them because they're going to be fun. So our summer of samples, we're talking about October. Oh boy, so many things going on in October. We got Hacktoberfest. We're talking about Uptober to help actually upgrade some samples. We're talking about Prompttober. Woo, man, so many Tobers. It's going to be a great month. So we're looking forward to that. Again, this is powered by Credly, so those badges you get are official and accredited and absolutely free. We cover the cost. All we ask you to do is opt in, ak.ms/community/recognition, and you can get your badges, your badgers, anything you want. We are here to formally recognize and show thankfulness to what you're doing. So again, we really love you all for what you're doing, our way of giving back. Now, we also want to recognize that prompts are a big thing, right? We're naming a month after it. So we want to remind everybody that we've got our PNP prompts library for Copilot prompts. This is a really cool way to kind of generate some ideas and see how others are using AI today. And of course, we want to recognize our prompt of the week. So Mike Francis is bringing in the prompt of the week on having it coordinate and schedule meetings. So thank you, Mike, for adding this. This is a new initiative we're trying to do to show off the amazing work that everybody's doing as well. It's a great way to see how others are using the technology because sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. All right, let's get into some project-specific updates, and let's start with PNP.NET libraries and Bert.
Awesome, thank you, David. So I'm back from my summer break, which is good. The bad thing is that not that much happened during my summer break, and I have a backlog of things to process. But overall, PNP goes okay. We had already one PR from Rashmi Oklo. So she added support for expiration date time in when you create sharing links. So a really cool, a nice feature to have. Thanks for that, Rashmi. On the framework side, I think the main thing there is that we are still looking into processing the pending things. One thing. Second thing is that we're looking into building a new PNP provisioning engine schema. So if you have demands, go to the provisioning schema repo and then add an issue about what you're missing, what you need there. But overall, I think we're all back now and slowly starting to catch up on things. So you see more progress in the coming weeks. With that, let's move to Gautam for PowerShell. If he's on the call, I don't know.
Actually, I think Gautam is out on vacation still, so we'll just quickly cover the slide for him. Version 2.5 is released, so go check it out. Why should you? Because it's got 23.3 million downloads and 140 million commandlets executed per day. PNP PowerShell is legit. It is the OG. It is for real. So check it out, everybody. If you're doing any kind of interaction with the technologies that require scripting, PNP PowerShell is where it's at. So check it out, and we appreciate all the hard work. And Gautam will give us a better update as soon as he gets back from a well-deserved vacation. Speaking of scripts, we can also learn a little bit about the script samples. So this is a initiative ran by Paul Bullock. Again, wonderful way for everyone to get involved in contributing. Easy, lightweight, because we've all got those utility scripts, whether they're PowerShell or CLI for Microsoft 365 or something else, right? This is an easy way to start contributing. Let others know that you're doing some amazing things, and I guarantee, again, don't overthink it. They will find value in it. We've got our dedicated badges for script samples, those bronze, silver, and gold. So get involved. We would love to see you contribute. Again, one of the easier ways. Paul is a wonderful maintainer of this and super nice guy. So just reach out if you have any questions, and he will hook you up. Now, next up is our Microsoft Teams samples. So we've got a couple of new samples, and we've got a fun little way we're going to talk about today. Copilot Product Catalog plugin and Copilot Action Search Data. Our favorite and one and only Bob German is on the road right now, so we're going to have a little bit of contributors in cars. Bob, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Keeping my eyes on the road.
All right, good. No crashing.
Okay. Hopefully my code will crash.
Hopefully not. So tell us a little bit about these two that you wanted to mention, Bob.
Yeah, well, what's cool here is, so first of all, a couple of really reliable and frequent contributors. So I want to thank Ijaz and Marcus for that. The Copilot product catalog is a message extension Copilot plugin, and as far as I know, it's the first time he put the backing data in a SharePoint list, which is always awesome. But he also wrote this really simple message extension that sits on top of an Azure function. So while we're all waiting for API plugins to come out, he's basically written, I don't know if this was your intention, Ijaz, but it's basically an API plugin with a small message extension shim on top, so that you could later, if you wanted to, migrate it to be an API plugin. First time I've seen that pattern, and I really like it. And Marcus has another first, because it's the first time that we first sample using an action message extension as a Copilot plugin. So instead of asking Copilot to search for some data, you can actually ask it to take some action, and it pops up a little form in a task module, and you can take the action, fill in all the details. So really great samples. Thanks to both of you, and back to you, Dave.
Awesome. Thank you, Bob. Bob on the road. So we appreciate it. It's a fun little way of making sure everybody's involved. All right, let's move over to Kate and some updates on Power Platform samples.
Yeah, hello, thank you very much. So today we don't have any new merged samples, but I encourage you to explore the 45 samples that already shared by our amazing community members. These samples include a variety of tools, components, applications, and workflows that you can use for learning, inspiration, and even integrating in your own projects. So all samples are completely unmanaged, completely free, and come with clear installation instructions. It's an excellent resource. And additionally, I would like to invite you to share your own samples. We are excited to see what you've built with Power Platform. Sharing your creations helps us to grow together, and remember, sharing is caring, so your contributions matter. If you have any questions about how to submit, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm here to help you and will be very happy to assist you. Yeah, back to you, David.
Woo, awesome. Woo! Yeah, excellent, Kate. Thank you. Yeah, everybody reach out. And also, again, that's got prompts too, Power Platform prompts. So definitely combine those PnP Copilot prompts with the Power Platform prompts, and you'll be ready for Promptober before you know it. All right, well, what time is it? It is that picture time. So we're all going to be like Seb, get those fantastic cameras on with those wonderful faces, and I will pull this over and we will get ready. And I will start up Camtasia here. And there we go. Move that out of the way. All right, we are doing good on time, everybody. So if you'd like to turn that camera on, we still got room for just a few more. This dynamic room automatically grows into a new row if we get enough. There we go. We're getting close. All right. I see Tony and Don and Vessa.
There's an interesting ghost on the middle. So
yeah, I tell you.
What's the Ghostbusters? The green one in Ghostbusters.
Yes,
blopper weapon. Oh, no.
Slime or something, right?
Oh, there we go.
Or is this like Nickelodeon Double Dare? Who's gonna get slime today? All right. Let's kick this off, everybody. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Wave to the community. Looking fantastic. Great to see everybody. Elliot striking a pose there, it looked like. Great to see everybody. You are all amazing. Again, we would not have this community without you, so we appreciate everything that you are doing. All right, looks good. So let's get into our amazing presenters of the day. We are going to kick it off with Siddharth and Kunj, who wasn't able to attend, but he is involved in part of this. It's on discovering M365 and Power Platform community samples with the Finder bot. So beep, boop, bop. I can't wait to see more. Siddharth, take it away.
Thank you, David. I hope my screen is visible and
Yep, just throw that into presenter mode and you'll be on your way.
awesome. Okay.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone. Thanks again. It's always nice to come here and show some awesome sample demos. Today, I'm going to present and interesting M365 community bot, basically which will allow us to find the samples from the sample solution gallery, which David has already mentioned before, where we are able to see all the samples which are being contributed by the community, some reusable templates, some ready to use solutions, some SPFX samples, some scripts which are available. Basically, it's combination of all the repos which we have. There is a very nice solution gallery landing page which is available, where we are able to find the samples. So this is like an attempt to create a bot out of it using the new tech stack which is available and ability to find the samples from there. I had privileged to have Kunj as a co-contributor who has helped me worked on this particular project. So before I start, a little bit about myself. I am Siddharth. I'm Microsoft MVP and founder of a company called Binary Roots. I love to work on SharePoint, Teams app, Power Platform, Azure, and .NET. These are some of the social handles through which you would be able to connect with me. I don't have Kunj here with me, but I would still like to share his social media links and everything. He's also a technical consultant working on SharePoint, Office 365, Azure, .NET, and these are some of the social handles links through which you would be able to connect with him. So basically, let's start with the why part. So as we know, as soon as the OpenAI was launched, and we have seen that the technology was very promising, and people were trying to find the use cases around it. People were trying to see how they can best utilize OpenAI into their day-to-day work or into their personal productivity, to improve their personal productivity or their office work productivity, right? So I was also into kind of a similar bot, and we were trying to find something basically to work with, and what we wanted to do is we wanted to explore the new technology stack, wanted to understand how things works. And I personally believe that until and unless we do the hands-on on a particular new tech stack which is available or which has come, we won't be able to learn much. Theoretically, only we can understand 20% to it, but the real challenges and real use case comes as in when we know, when we get our hands dirty, when we try things out, that is where we know, how actually things are working. So this was like just a fun project to be start with. And then we initially also thought, once we came up with the use case, we thought, why cannot we use the sample solution gallery, which is available as a database, and given users ability to find samples using the bot. So that's what, the driving factor of this particular project was. Now, to talk about the project or the bot which we have built, basically, as I said, it allows us to find the community samples from the solution gallery. As it is based on the Azure OpenAI and the AI, we would be able to naturally converse with the bot using the natural language. You would be able to explore the sample categories and some example prompts which we have provided, so that user would know how to kind of get started with conversing with the bot. We will get some summarization of the response which has been generated by the Azure OpenAI or OpenAI, and all the citations or the reference links of the response which we got from the OpenAI, we are basically transforming it to an adaptive card carousel, where we are giving users ability to directly find that know about that particular sample which is available, the title, description, links, and everything. Technology-wise, we are using Azure OpenAI. We are using the LangChain libraries, and we are using Azure OpenAI embeddings also. And we are creating the embeddings and storing it into Pinecone as a vector storage database. We are again wanted to explore new technology, so we were seeing what kind of vector database which are available. There were few options which we got, but Pinecone was actually giving us and starter plan which was basically free. And because this is a community product, we wanted to find something very cheaper or which is cost effective in nature, and that is why we went with the Pinecone as a vector storage database. As everybody would know, the source of the data on which we are going to see the samples, results, everything is available at this particular link, which is basically adoption.microsoft.com ENUS sample solution gallery, which David has already said well before. With that, let me go to the demo. So basically, I had installed the bot on my personal tenant. And to start with, what we generally do, right? We can just start with giving the greeting saying that hello. And there are some greeting message which we have handled, which doesn't go to the OpenAI, but it will say, how can I help you today? And if I say, what can you do? This will send us an adaptive card which will tell us, okay, I'm here to help find you the samples from the community. What I can do is I can find you sample discovery of ready to use samples templates. So basically an adaptive card, and the categories of samples I can brief you on description. So this is just an greeting messages which we wanted to handle if users ask bot, what they can do. From here, we have two actions which are available. You can explore the categories, or you can see the example prompts which is available. Let me start with exploring the categories. With exploring categories, what we have given is we have given an actionable adaptive card through which you would be able to select a particular category which is available, and you can select any particular category and you can submit it. So what we will do behind the scenes, we are basically creating the prompt and sending the prompt to the OpenAI to find the samples which are being tagged to the product or category which is Power Apps, right? So here what you are seeing on the top is it says that here are the samples from the product category Power Apps. It was able to find 5 or 6 samples which are available which are tagged to the Power Apps, and then there is this nice adaptive card wherein you would be able to see the title, description, the category, who has contributed and when it was created, and basically link to go to that particular sample. And this is a carousel, so you would be able to basically move around the carousel to see whatever results which we have got in the response also would be able to commit here, right? Now, so this is how you would be able to explore the categories. Next thing is let's explore some prompts. Okay, so to get ease for the user to find how they can use this bot, we have basically given some of the prompts which are available in what way they would be able to naturally interact with these samples, right? So basically, if I can say, if I can try one of the sample prompts, which is like, is there any way to export Teams channel conversation, right? This is how the user is going to interact with the bot, and what it comes up with it says, there are multiple ways to export the Teams channel conversation. This includes some PowerShell script, which is available by Joseph, which is available by me. I had also contributed one of the sample script around that, and then also by Sudarshan, and then it will give you the responses around that, right? So with this, the idea is that you would be able to naturally converse with the bot in such a way that you would be able to find the samples and you would be able to get some responses around it also. I'm just going to try a couple of more prompts which I have already copied. Like if you want to say, show me samples of SPFX, it would be able to give you some samples which are available in the SPFX gallery with some summarization, and again the adaptive card which is available. And as Bob mentioned, Marcus has been contributing good amount of Teams app samples which is available. Let's try to see if we are able to find samples from a particular author. So you can also try, show samples from Marcus, and it would be able to find all the samples which has been contributed by Marcus, and with the summaries and titles, and basically with the adaptive card extensions which is available. So this was the whole idea. You can try different prompts and everything which is available. With this, I would like to just go through the code quickly. So what we did is we used Teams Toolkit to basically create the base template to create the chatbot. So first and the foremost thing is for any chatbot would be, this on message methods event which would be available, wherein we are capturing the user's text which the user would be querying. In here, typically, we have all the welcome messages and all the greetings which is available. This also can be avoided if we want. We can also send it directly to the Azure OpenAI and get that. But for now, we have kept it simple to basically, handle some greetings message which is available. Then there is this explore category and explore prompt. What it does is basically it directly, whenever the user selects that actions which is available, it directly sends a static JSON, adaptive JSON card which is available through which. If none of them is there, then what we are doing is we are actually calling the OpenAI API. We are going to see that in detail. One more event is wherein we had that selection of the category choices which we have done, right? So in that case, if we are if the user is selecting a particular category, what we are doing is we are transforming the prompt not just to send the category, but basically tell the OpenAI that, okay, show me samples from the category which user has selected, and this way we are manipulating the prompt so that we get a response from the categories which user has selected. Second is the important method where we are calling the API. This API, what we did is we have the same API which is been hosted or has been part of the same project solution. We will see that what does that API do. But basically, GetDocs API is nothing but querying to the vector database and transforming the user queries and getting the result and responding it back. So whatever we will get back, we are transforming that into an adaptive card and then making it as a carousel and then sending that response along with the summary which has been generated there, right? Now, let's quickly go through the adaptive card JSONs, adaptive card schema which is available. So this is the welcome adaptive card schema. It is a typical adaptive card JSON which is available, which basically when the user would say, you know, what can I do, how can I help, or what things you can do, it will going to send this particular adaptive card. So this one was static, no dynamic data. Again, the second one is the category adaptive card JSON. So this is the JSON where right now we are also planning to make this dynamic in future. But right now we have created all the choices of the categories which is available in the repo. And then there is a submit button action which is been sent. And based on that submit action and the selection category, we are manipulating the prompt which we talked about. Next is the sample prompt which we were there. So basically it's nothing but giving them an option to select different prompts or examples which are available. So this is another example. Then this is the main adaptive card JSON, which is basically the response which we get from the Azure OpenAI, and which we are transforming it and sending it as a citation, right? So this is where that body adaptive card JSON comes into picture, where we are basically creating the title, descriptions, the author, the category, and when it was created along with the photos and everything which is there, right? So this is the adaptive card. Then as I was talking, you know, we have two methods which we have created. One was the insert. Insert is basically calling the passing the JSON object from the PNP API which is available. Okay, we will see that in detail, like which API we are calling. But basically, this API we are calling it from a Power Automate which is scheduled to get the latest data from the PNP sample solution gallery and inserting it into vectorized database. And then the next one is the getDocs method. So basically the getDoc method is nothing but calling the internal method which is available and then returning the response back, right? Now, next is the insert method. So, okay, so this is the main method where we are using basically Pinecone, LangChain to create the document and then inserting into the database, right? So for each item which we get from the PNP API which is available, we are basically creating a metadata object where we are using the title, product, short description, and all the fields which is available. But the interesting thing here is to basically give the page content, right? So for giving the page content, what we are doing is we are transferring the structured data into unstructured data, wherein when we are vectorizing it, we are not just vectorizing the whole JSON object, but we are actually creating a string of content wherein we are putting the sample title, the description, and we are also within that page text, we are saying that this sample belongs to this particular category, which is basically whatever category would be there. And plus we are also telling the author of the sample is this person. So basically this is going to create a sample of string with the title, description, comma, saying that this sample is. So it's like an unstructured data which we are creating and then we are inserting into vector database. Then next is the getDocument method. So getDocument method, as I said, we are using Pinecone and LangChain library to do that. So basically we are initializing the Pinecone database, getting the index which is available, initializing the vector database where we are passing the Azure OpenAI key, we are passing the embedding deployment name, we are passing the API deployment name which is available. And then we are also initializing the chat OpenAI, basically nothing but the OpenAI model which is available. And then from there we are creating the chain for querying. And then we are calling this chain.call method, which will be passing the query, and the response which we are getting, we are just transforming that response and using it and sending it to the adaptive card thing. So this is the main part of basically what we are trying to do here is creating the calling the API, PNP API. Within our code itself, we have an insert API which is available, which will allow us to insert data into vector database. And then there is a getDocs method which is available through which we would be able to query and we will be getting the response back. So this is the code walkthrough. We are also wanted to encourage, this is the repo from where you would be able to download the the Teams package file. You can try it out on your personal tenant. If you find some issues, feedback, please share it in the repo sample which is available, and we would be happy to kind of work on the samples and available. With that, we also wanted to we have some what's next ideas which is available. Right now we don't have ability to keep the conversion context. So every query which we are passing basically considers as an individual query and doesn't understand the previous context. So we are going to work on that so that we are able to keep the conversation context in the previous message until and unless the user reset that. We are also planning to add YouTube community videos which are there, which is on our YouTube channel, so that user would be able to find the YouTube videos also from the same Thor. We are planning to publish into Microsoft App Stores as a community app which is available, so it is available for everybody to directly download from the App Stores. We are also thinking of adding some ability to send reminders for the community calls. We will give some options there, and also ability to send notification whenever a new samples get added or a new video gets added, so that user can be knowing that okay, there is a new sample which has been added, or this one new sample or video has been added, and they would be able to keep themselves up to date with that. Okay, so with that, I would like to thank you everyone for listening, and also again I'll just keep this slide again open just for a couple of seconds so that we want you to basically try this and give us the feedback on how it is performing, and we will definitely work on the feedback. With that, I would like to hand it over to David again. Thank you.
Awesome stuff, Siddharth. Thank you and Kunj very much. This is really, really cool. I especially love the part where you can ask the bot to show samples from a specific person. So I tried that and said, show me samples from David Warner, and it replied, new phone, who dis? So we might have to look into that. Oh, of course, I'm kidding. Very, very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. So let's move on over to Leon, who's going to talk about SharePoint Premium autofill columns with GPT-4 turbo powered. Leon, you want to throw it in? Yep, take it away.
Yes. So thank you, David. Thanks again for having me on the show. So today I want to talk about a cool feature of SharePoint Premium. So autofill GPT-4 turbo powered columns. I'm really excited by this feature. I reckon it's the best SharePoint feature of SharePoint Premium so far. So a little about me. My name is Leon Armston. I'm head of content AI at Intelligy. I'm based in the UK. I'm a Microsoft MVP in M365. You can find details below on how you can connect with me. I'm always happy to answer questions. So today I'd like to discuss what is SharePoint Premium, talk about SharePoint Premium autofill columns, give you a demo, and then give you some steps to find out more. So what is SharePoint Premium? So I'm just a little brief intro. So SharePoint Premium is a set of cloud management capabilities that bring advanced AI, automation, and management to the business process at the center of every organization. So this is SharePoint. So SharePoint's all about content. So it's all about content experiences that optimize critical business document processes, content processing that organizes your content to maximize the value in that content. And then you've got content governance, so govern that content. So it's all about the content, the layer on top of which is SharePoint Premium. So SharePoint Premium autofill columns. So what are autofill columns? So they allow users to construct large language model LLM prompts, questions on a column. So using generative AI, and then that prompt is then grounded on the files within the library. So you could use it to automatically classify a file, extract or generate information from within the file. It's a new column setting for existing SharePoint document library columns. So you'll be familiar with text columns, multiple line of text, number, yes, no, date, no, choice, hyperlink, and many more. And you can have many autofill prompts, columns per library. So once it's processed it with the generative AI prompt, it then saves the output as metadata to a corresponding column. And then you can use that metadata that's against the file in the SharePoint document library in search, workflow, or even for compliance labels. So here's just a quick little screenshot summary. So autofill column. So you create a column as normal in SharePoint. When your site is enabled for autofill, you get this autofill section where we can set it up. You then have the ability to type in a prompt. So in this example, I've provide a 10-word summary, but I could change that to whatever I want. I can then test that prompt while I'm creating it against files that are in the document library and see what it returns. So I can see my result of a summary there. I then save the column, and then it doesn't auto-process files that are already in the library. So I then need to select which files I want to process, and then there's this autofill button in there. But if you hang on in this call, I'll show you how you can also do this via PowerShell. So once they've been processed, they take a few minutes. We then see the files, and then we can see the 10-word summary beside the document. So that be any generative AI prompt, and yeah, there's lots of good prompts around these days, going from Copilot to ChatGPT, etc. So some finer details. They are powered by OpenAI GPT-4 Turbo. Currently, the only English language is supported. Lots of file types supported, from CSVs to Office files to emails to HTML to image files to text files. Then documents with sensitivity labels aren't analyzed and included in results, and the scope of the prompt is restricted to the content just in the text file, so it cannot reference, say, other files, for example, at the moment. The pricing, so it's 5 cents US per page. So each processed page in your document counts as one transaction. And the cost is the same for 1 or more prompts per page. So you can have multiple autofill columns in the page, and you will only be charged per page, no matter how many prompts you have. It's the same pricing as other SharePoint Premium custom document processing models. So say unstructured, structured, freeform. And then in order to do this, you will need an Azure subscription connected to your M365 tenant for Syntax SharePoint Premium pay-as-you-go. So this is how I like to frame prompting and the prompting autofill use cases that I like to recommend for these columns. So you could use a prompt as an extraction tool. So read something from a file and put it into a column. So extract something. We could use it to classify. So determine what the content is in the file and what language it is. Maybe pick out the document type. We could use it to generate new content. So from reading this document, generate a summary of the document. Let's format that summary into bullet points. Then we could use it to evaluate the content in the document. So yeah, maybe given some criteria, rate the quality of the writing, identify the main points. But then we could also use it to impersonate. So do any of the above, but from another perspective. So pretend you're a health and safety officer. Identify the most likely risk in this health and safety report or something. So I'm not going to read all this out, but yeah, your prompts are limited by your imagination. So I'll read out the ones in yellow. So we could use it to generate a summary of this document in 10 words. We could use it to read a document and identify the spoken language, and then cross-reference it. So return it in the lowercase ISO 693 three-letter language code. Or we could use it to extract the address of a sender and formulate a Google Maps URL linking to the address so you could navigate to an address of a sender found in an invoice, for example. So 3 patterns I would like to demo. So yeah, show you autofill columns through the UI, the configuration and some example prompts. Then show you how to deploy autofill columns using PowerShell, and then how to process existing files. So I'll just go to my demo. So we're just going to start with a new library. Let's create a new library. We'll call this Autofill 2. And there we have a blank library. Let's add some files to this library. Now they've uploaded. Let's add an autofill column to the library. So we're just going to do it the normal way. We're going to add a multiple line of text column, and then we're just going to do 30-word summary, and then we're going to go into this autofill section at the side. And then we're going to do summarize in 30 words. And then we're going to test the our prompt. And we'll see the results chosen from a file in the document library. Now let's have show some other prompts. So we could do like these are aviation incident reports. So they contain details about aviation incidents. So the number of passengers on the plane. So now we'll test that prompt. It's come back with 162. So all of these prompts are doing is giving the people using the document libraries more information without having to go into the document. We could do, I don't know, a quick one. Count the number of words and test that. That will then come back with 153. So I'll just do 30-word summary and save this here. I then save the prompt. That's then added as a column to the document library. These files are not processed automatically, so we then need to go into, let's just do a hard refresh. We then need to select the files, and there is then a new autofill menu here. So that will take a few minutes for these to be processed by the autofill columns. So while that's waiting, I'll just go to a library where I've ran some autofill column prompts before. So this one here, I extracted the document title, but then I used a concatenate to add some exclamation marks. I did a 10-word summary. I did a recommend this Christmas song, summarize the document based on the sentiment of the summary, suggest a Christmas song. I use this then prompt here to extract the airline. I extracted the document type. I summarized like a pirate. I explained like I was 5. There's a whole heap more prompts here, but yeah. You could use it as a tool to work out. So I had £1 million, give compensation to all the passengers that it noticed that was on the aeroplane, and then show the workings, but also do it in US dollars, New Zealand dollars, euros, for example. So now I'm going to go and show you how this can be done in PowerShell. So this is all covered in my blog, so I'm not going to go through the code too much here. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a new column called document type to this library that I've just created. We can then see it there. And now I'm just going to show you how we could add the prompt programmatically using REST API to the library. that's all been done. I'm not going to dive deep into the code, but if we visit the document type here, we can see that that autofill prompt has been added to the library using that PowerShell there. And now I want to process one file in that library. So I'm going to target list item ID number 1, the variables at the top, but I can just use this method here now to tee up a file for processing with those autofill rules. So if we go back to our library, we will see one of the files here is in progress. So that is in progress for the document type there. So that's the PowerShell. I'll just return back to my slides. There's some blogs here where you can see more details of autofill columns, a general blog, and then a blog documenting all the PowerShell to automate it. So you could add autofill columns to your provisioning solution. So every time a project is added, it adds a summary column to the default document libraries. There's some more details on how you can find out more about SharePoint Premium and my blog there, where I blog about most SharePoint Premium features. And then, yes, thank you today for having me on this session. It's always a pleasure to be on board. Thank you.
Awesome job, Leon. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really, really cool stuff. Love how you can associate AI even to the column level of documents and analyze it. That is really cool. Some fun ways. I was cracking myself up in some of the ways you were doing that. So excellent job. All right, let's move on to our last presenter of the day. Nick Doelman is here, powering up your Power Pages with Power Automate. That's like a Canadian hockey hat trick of power. Nick, take it away. I see your screen, but you might be muted. Oh, maybe the wrong screen.
There, muted, and gotta share the right screen. That's always helpful. All right. How are we now? Let me get here. PowerPoint. All right. Do you hear me and do you see extending Power Pages using Power Automate?
Yes and yes. Take it away.
Awesome. Cool. All right. So today we're going to extend Power Pages using Power Automate, which is pretty exciting. Little bit about myself first. I'm an independent Power Platform specialist, Microsoft MVP. I did time at Microsoft. I escaped, so as people do, I'm also a certified trainer. I am a competitive power lifter. Unfortunately, earlier this week, I re-injured my shoulder, so I'm actually going to be taking a bit of time off rehabbing that. That's why this arm is not going up very much today. The other thing I want to shout out is I do a podcast about Power Platform stuff every 2 weeks where we cover all the news and updates. I do that with my very good friend Ulrika Ackerbeck out of Norway. And also I'm an event organizer for the Canadian Power Platform Summit. So I get myself into a ton of trouble a lot. Anyways, you can reach me on .card/ReadyXRM. That's where all the links are. But you're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Power Automate in Power Pages. So what I want to kind of talk about, why do you care? Why do you want to use Power Automate in Power Pages? What are some of the use cases? And we'll talk about a use case. I'll show you one. It's a little bit fun. And we're going to build that actual Power Pages Automate flow and integrate that and talk about building a web page to get the input and then get the results. I will talk very little bit about licensing, just some nuances there that we should all be aware of. All right, diving into a little bit further. Why would we use Power Automate in Power Pages? So first off, out of the box, Power Pages cannot use Power Platform connectors. So of course we have, what, over 1,000 connectors or something like that now, something crazy. Of course, new ones being added every day, but we can't use those natively in Power Pages. So all of these connectors that we know and love, we need a way to get to them. So we can get to them using Power Automate. Now, for those of you who are Power Pages developers or beginning to dip into that, you've probably heard of this thing called the Web API. And believe me, the Web API is probably one of my favorite features of Power Pages, but we're limited. We're limited to create, read, update, delete, and associate. And we can't call custom actions, or I just learned the other day, we can't do batch operations as well. So we have some limitations there. Now, yes, we can trigger flows from Dataverse. Of course, we can update things from our Power Pages into our Dataverse. However, those flows are asynchronous. Here's something that a lot of people don't really realize. Power Automate flows triggered from Power Pages are synchronous, meaning they have to run to completion, which is very beneficial. And they also run very fast. And I've been finding having the ability to use Power Automate flows kind of greatly reduces development time, although we still need to do some development activities for this. So moving along, so here are some use cases for using Power Automate Power Pages. Obviously, to call external services, again, to tap into those thousands of connectors. The sample that you see on Microsoft Docs is doing the weather, but also if you want to do a currency conversion, a real time, and yes, the Canadian dollar is beginning to tank. So if you're getting paid in other currencies, like I do sometimes, it's kind of beneficial to see that on a daily basis. But maybe you want to do something else. You want to calculate shipping costs. You want to do some tax calculations. Those types of things, we can call those external services for. Then we can also do things like trigger database actions or trigger some of those Dataverse custom actions. Or if we also, another use case is doing large database updates. We can take a JSON file, dump it into Power Automate and do some bigger updates as opposed to kind of processing through the web API. So these are just some ideas, and I'm sure there's a whole whack more things we can do with this, but I just wanted to kind of give you a bit of a taste. All right, so some things to consider as we're using Power Automate within Power Pages. Basically, we have to use the Power Pages trigger and response when we're setting up our flow, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. We need to calling the ability to call the Power Pages action. We need to actually add some code. This is not a no code, low code thing. This is something we do actually have to add a little bit of code, but I will show you, and there is some samples. There's a sample on Learn, and as well as I have my own GitHub, but I'll have the example I'm going to show you in a bit. The other thing is, and this sort of gets, and I don't want to get into this whole licensing thing, but you will need licensing for Power Automate and those premium connectors. There is the licensing within Power Pages does not include this. And then of course you also need to consider security and access, user access to run the flow. So that just makes good common sense. All right, so let's move into a demo. Who wants to see a demo as opposed to PowerPoints? Probably everybody, I'm guessing. Woo! Woohoo! Oh, I heard a woo. I love it. Cool. All right, whoops, I'm just going to move Teams over here. All right, so let's get out of PowerPoint. Yeah, I don't want to talk about licensing. No one does. And first off, I'm going to go into my Power Pages Design Studio. And again, I've already provisioned a Power Pages site, which is pretty straightforward. I've already set this up. And what I'm going to do is I am going to create a new flow. I'm going to go into Setup. And I'm going to go into my cloud flows here. You'll see that in the setup workspace. Power Pages has a series of workspaces. We're going to go into cloud flows. And I've created a flow here. It's called Chuck Norris Fact. We'll get into that in a little bit. Now, if I wanted to, I could add an existing flow or I could create a brand new flow. So if I go in and create a brand new flow here, it's going to create it within the context of our Power Pages Design Studio. It is going to use the older interface, but here what I would search for is the Power Pages trigger. And we see that here we have that Power Pages trigger. And when Power Pages calls a flow, so that's what I would start with. I would begin to add things like an input. So these are things that we can add to the flow. And then I would do my next step. Now for this one, this is a highly mission critical business application, but it is the Chuck Norris API. I don't know if anybody's used this. This, of course, was created by our good friend, Daniel Lakovitz. He didn't create the Chuck Norris IO, but he created the connector for it. So we have this connector here so we can get a random Chuck Norris fact, or we can search for particular facts here. I'm just going to choose a random one. And then once we can choose the category here. There's a series of categories that we could pass along. And then, of course, once we have that highly important information, we can send that back. So we would just go within Power Pages, again, and we would return that value back to Power Pages. So this is a super simple flow, but of course you could build much more complex ones. But the key is you'd use that Power Pages trigger, and you would return those values, and you would do all your magic in between here. Now I've created another one earlier, so we have all this set up already. And what it's going to come up with when we add that flow to our site is this URL. So we're going to need this API URL. I can copy this here. The other thing we need to do is, I'm just going to quickly edit this. We also need to make sure what web roles. So again, I'm not going to go deep into Power Pages security, just keeping an eye on time. But basically, we want to be able to add security roles here that only certain people are allowed to run or access this flow. So now that we got the Power Automate side set up, let's actually go back into Power Pages and configure there. And like I said, if I go into the Design Studio here, of course, anybody who's used Power Pages knows we can use Copilot, can help us out, or we can go in and build our own stuff. We can go and add things like, if I just go in here into a particular section, I'm just going to add a section here. I can add different column sections, different spacers. And then once I'm in here, we have text, button, image, video, card gallery, forms, a whole bunch of different things. But if you're notice here in the data, we don't have a Power Automate thing. There's nothing here to select. So we're going to have to go in and use code for that. That's okay, no problem. I'm going to go into this page I created earlier called Chuck Norris Facts. Now, I'm not a designer. I am at best a citizen designer. So that's why this looks a little bit ugly, but we're really not here for the design aesthetics, but more the functionality. So basically what I have here is I want to be able to select that category and get that fact. Now I had to design this using actually to go in the code. If you're new to Power Pages, it's actually very developer friendly. I can click on this edit code here, and this is going to take me directly into Visual Studio Code for the web, which is super cool because that way, if I wanted to, I could still load Visual Studio Code for the desktop and utilize this, but directly from Power Pages, I could go into the web version, which is really, I think it's one of my favorite features as well, Jim. So I have my code here. I have, like I said, some of my design stuff. Yes, I'm embedding CSS. I know that's not the right way to do it. I know I'm going to hear some flack from my designer friends. But anyways, here's the code itself. I've added a div class. I've added a HTML dropdown here with all of those categories. Again, this is where Copilot and ChatGPT can really help you kind of format this. Yes, there is Copilot for developers within Power Pages as well. I've tried to generate this code with it. It's a little clunky at this point, but of course, as we all know, Copilot just keeps getting better every day. So maybe we can revisit that at some point. I have a button here, basically submitting that. So basically, I'm collecting that category, and then basically we're going to send that to the flow. And remember earlier, I copied that flow link here. So I'm going to paste that URL in here, and it's going to package this up, the information I'm passing. So here's that category that I would choose. It would send this off to the flow, and then basically I'm going to wait for this. It's going to use an Ajax safe post. I'm going to wait for it, and then when it comes back with the result, I'm going to take that fact and I'm going to dump that back into my website. So this is all pretty much just regular kind of API code using JavaScript. Again, like I said, Power Pages is very developer friendly in this aspect. So once I've got that code written and all set up, and I've only embedded it this time just in a web page, but I'm a big fan of doing these things in web templates, but that's a conversation for another day. And we want to actually see the end result here. So I'm going to go back into my page here. Whoops, I'll just close that. And here I've launched my, actually I can go here. Sorry, I have Teams that's hogging my screen. There we go. I basically, once I've done edited my code, I would sync it back here. Didn't make any changes, so now let's just hit the preview. Preview is important because preview will clear the cache. So if you make changes in your Design Studio or make changes in Visual Studio Code, we want to make sure you're getting the latest. So if you hit that preview, that's going to make sure the site is there. So I'm on my page. Remember, I had to sign in. I had to make sure it's authenticated user. So I've already done this. I'm going to choose a category. Let's choose movie for now. I'm going to get my Chuck Norris fact. And basically it's calling that flow, and it's basically giving me Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is based on a true story. Chuck Norris once swallowed a turtle whole, and when he crapped it out, the turtle was 6 feet tall and he learned karate. So some of these things are a little maybe not suitable for work. That's why I'm not choosing explicit. Maybe I can pick another one, hit music, get another Chuck Norris fact. But basically you can see the idea here. It's very fast. Who let the dogs out? Chuck Norris let the dogs out, of course. And then Roundhouse kicked the ball through an Oldsmobile. Anyways, thank you, David. I love David and his Stream Deck. It's a powerful combination. So I just basically, hopefully you get the gist here of using Power Automate within Power Pages. So this, to me, opens up a whole realm of new possibilities using Power Pages and Power Automate. And hopefully, as you work on your Power Pages projects, this can actually get you through some roadblocks and some humps. So thank you, everybody, for participating today. Thank you, David, for everything you do as well. And yeah, we're only 1 minute. I've only gone 1 minute over time. So.
No, you are good. This was awesome, Nick. Really, really appreciate you bringing this to the community. We'll have to bring you back to do a few more of these because I think there's some stuff you could dive into. I think everybody, Nick just power lifted the bar on Power Pages and Power Automate for the business, right? Chuck Norris level strength, no spotter required, I think. All right, yes, okay, no, yeah. Okay, let's move on, everybody. Yes, thank you, Siddharth and Kunj, for your contribution as well. Leon and Nick, you guys are amazing. We would not have this community without you. Really, really appreciate you coming on the call today to share your passion with the community. Great, great job. We'd love to get your feedback, everybody, about the call, so please rate the content, provide input on how things can be improved. This allows us to ensure that we are bringing the best possible content and experience to you each and every week. Even if you've provided positive feedback or constructive feedback, we'd love to still hear it and know that we're doing a good job or where we can improve. The recording will be available in 24 hours on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. You can get access to that at aka.ms/community/YouTube. Subscribe today. Get alerts on when the latest video has dropped because you will get a Teams message that says, hey, recording's available for you to watch, and it's a pretty little liar. You're not going to be able to download it unless you're in the tenant, so the best way is to subscribe to our YouTube account. And we'll let you know as soon as it's available. It's always available in 24 hours or less. If you follow us on X or Twitter or whatever the new name is at M365PNP, you'll also be alerted, as well as LinkedIn, aka.ms/community/LI. Our next Microsoft 365 Power Platform bi-weekly call 2 weeks from today, August 15th. Well, I guess 2 weeks minus an hour, right? Yes, 7 a.m. Pacific time, Viva Connection SharePoint Framework. Next week, we got a jam-packed schedule again. Great to see everybody. You can get access to the calls at aka.ms/community/calls. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week as we get into the latter half of this year. Thank you for all you're doing. We're excited for our upcoming initiatives, and it would not be possible without each and every one of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you all for what you do. Keep it up. Amazing work. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.